Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Andy. She blinded me with refractors here, and I'm about to show you part two of the last episode of Grown Men Talking Baseball Cards. I mentioned in the first part that our video ran a little bit long, and we kind of got into a little bit of a conversation about a couple of topics that we really hadn't planned on getting into, but sometimes you get a couple of friends talking about sports and sports cards, and you never know where the conversation is going to lead. And so we got to talking about a couple of things. One of them is instant replay in sports, and then we also got to talking somehow, I don't know how, but we got to talking about closers. And then that turned into we're talking about Mariano Rivera because he's you know viewed as the best closer. So um, let me. I'll be interested to see the comments on this particular video, because like I said, we just got to talking about this stuff, and these are just our opinions. So I don't take it too personally if anyone disagrees, but I would just like to hear what you guys think about these subjects in the comments. So just let me know if you agree, why you agree, and if you disagree with our opinions on these things, then let me know that too. So here we go, guys. The next thing I was this is basically sports related, and I talked to you a little bit about this before, and maybe this is a controversial topic to some people. It's not. I don't know. It's not really to me because I have pretty strong feelings about it. Like, and my whole thought process on this is I told you earlier. I think that replay in sports is actually creating more controversy than it is solving. And let me get your thoughts on this here, because I mean I've seen so many calls lately. First off, they're wasting so much time like reviewing all this stuff. They very rarely change anything. But my whole point to this, I think they should just get rid of replay totally. Go back to the way it used to be, because if you're only like there's probably over the course of a basketball game, there's going to be 50, 60 missed calls probably. You call
At
something
least, yeah.
almost every possession, and if you're only looking at a couple of select plays and it's only in the last, 2 minutes or whatever, because every play, whether it be you missed a call on the third play of the game or whether you missed a call with like 20 seconds left, like people, we kind of have this thing in our head that like, oh, the last 2 minutes that matters more than the first 2 minutes of the game. Not really. The first If the first 2 minutes would have been different, then the last 2 minutes are going to be different than what they were. So I think they should just scrap it entirely, get rid of replay. I'm sick of it. What are your thoughts?
I think it's I think sport to sport it kind of varies a little bit. I think you know football, some of the judgment calls that they want to do, those just suck. Just trying to review any of those, they need to get rid of some of that. But like the ones where they're trying to determine if a guy got a first down on a fourth and inches or not, and it's just a big pile of people right in the way. Those are just a waste to me. Like, they look at all these angles. We have all this technology and all these angles, and half the time you still can't tell. I mean, they can't verify it. Those they just need to throw out. Baseball, though, like I look at baseball a little bit different. If you're verifying whether a hit is a home run or not, I'm okay with those. But they've got the review booth or the guys back that look at that stuff. Pause the game there for 20 seconds or whatever it is. Have somebody in New York or whatever look at the film real fast, get it into them, and get playing one way or another. Those are a little bit different because it's a little bit different than say basketball or football where you're looking at time. There's no time factor in baseball.
Right.
So those do dictate. Those are more important than maybe the last out or the last batter.
All
But
right. So it's
but I'm
it's
with you on some of
interesting.
this.
It's interesting because you brought up baseball,
Okay,
which to me is the one where they abuse this more than any other sport.
they do. They do.
Like, the nothing aggravates me more in any replay in any sport than when a guy slides into second and they hold the glove on him, and like let's say
And
that
his hand comes off or
hand
whatever.
popped up off the bag
Yeah.
like a quarter of an inch, and now all of a sudden he's out. If they would have had this if they would have had replay for like since the existence of baseball, the entire history of baseball would be completely different than what we know it. Like how many times do you think? How many times do you think that happened to Ricky Henderson or Lou Brock or somebody like that?
Hundreds of times.
I mean, it happens like almost every play. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where like nobody even tries to steal bases hardly anymore because even if you are technically safe, they're going to get you out on the technicality of where your foot popped up like this much off the bag and the guy's
after the play is done.
Yes,
Essentially, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at the neighborhood play, the good old neighborhood play on double plays.
Yes.
People, that was taught to every baseball player ever on planet Earth for 100+ years. Now all of a sudden they replay that crap. It's and I get it. Technically, maybe they don't touch the bag, right? I get that, but it's baseball. It's part of like the history, and the other one too that I hate. I hate when they replay whether a runner was out at first base. The umpire's right there. He's doing everything so fast. Watching the runner, watching the glove. I like those judgment calls. It's so close. So be it. If they over the course of a full season, which is how many games is a full season? I don't even know. All these games. 162 for every team, right? Let's say they missed a couple hundred throughout the course of a season. It's still better than having to pause the game, stop the game for 3 minutes from to look at a replay of that one play. I hate the replays. I'm with you. I'm with you on the replays. Like I said, I do the home runs. Those I can completely see because it's hard to tell sometimes.
Get rid of it all.
But that's a run. I mean that's a run, in baseball. But football, yeah, football was the first one they started abusing it. I remember back in the day when they first started, they had the little booth they would go into, a little thing they put over their head, and it's just something we don't really need in sports, I think, and on top of all this, someday down the road, baseball is going to probably try to go to some kind of electronic umpiring system. I mean, I could see it happening. They've talked about it. That is just crazy. I hope they never do that.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad. I hope they never try that.
Well, and here's the thing too in baseball. I mean, God knows that baseball games last long enough as it is. Like,
yes,
I did this little test the other night, right? So the Thunder, their opening game was the same night as one of the World Series games. I'm watching the World Series game, right? It's in the bottom of the third inning. I switch it over right at the tip-off of the Thunder game, right? And as the Thunder game ended, and, they fouled a lot at the end, shot free throws. So it took a while. They were in the bottom of the seventh inning of the baseball game. So they played 4 innings during an entire NBA game. In Major League Baseball, so many people are like, I don't understand why is our viewership down? Why are more kids not watching baseball? Because it takes forever. That's why.
Because it's slow. It's way slow, brutally slow.
You could watch 2 NBA games during a baseball game.
People know that people like us, it doesn't really bother us, traditionalists. Trying to get new people, millennials and the next generation that comes along, trying to get them interested in baseball, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all.
Just think of it this way. Like, think of it in like everyday terms. Like, during the course of an average baseball game, like you could sit down and watch 2 movies back to back during the course. And who does that? Who has time to sit there and watch 2 movies in a row without getting up and doing anything? Like you're just sitting there watching 2 movies in a row.
Nobody.
People don't do that, right? But people, for some reason, we expect people to sit there and watch a baseball game that long. And I mean, they're going to have to do stuff to speed it up. I mean, they're going to have to cut down on like bringing in a new pitcher every inning. I mean, this crap where they're using openers and stuff. I mean, it's just
one batter coming in to face one batter and go out. Like that's just I hate that. I absolutely despise it when they do that.
because I mean, I love baseball. I know you love baseball too, but it just freaking takes too long to play a game.
Well, it does, and especially, things change. I think probably in the late '90s, early 2000s, when people really started looking at pitch counts and some of these things where these batters just stand there and take pitch after pitch after pitch. The pitchers, they don't give in. They don't throw they don't throw strikes. It's the cat and mouse game. The managers take forever on getting out to switch a pitcher around so the bullpen has time to, it's all these little in-game things you see, and it adds up to a boatload of time. I mean,
well, and that's another good point. I know, like, so far right now, like during this conversation, we sound like a couple old men, the get off our yard guys, but they're going to have to expand the strike zone because, like you said, these guys, they're just sitting on one pitch in one area, and they are not swinging at anything unless it's right there in that spot.
Absolutely. No,
you're going to have to start calling more strikes. I mean, this is ridiculous. Like the World Series, I mean, the game the other night, I felt like every other hitter was a 3-2 count.
Nonstop. No, I'm with you. And you look at the pitchers that are dominant in today's game, they throw strikes. They give up home runs. Justin Verlander gave up, 31 home runs this year, something like that. I don't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
Him and Garrett Cole, I think, weren't they 1 and 2 in all of baseball and home runs given up, I think, if I remember right, and they were the two best pitchers in baseball. They don't walk anybody. They throw strikes. They go deep into games. And then on the flip side, we got all these other pitchers that just nibble around the edges, and there's so much data for these hitters. They know these guys are going to do that, and they're not going to, like you said, they're not going to swing at it. They're going to stand up there and take as many pitches as they can. It's kind of gotten ridiculous, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, like I realize, like, all the data and all this stuff, it's important to the players because it's going to increase their performance, but it sucks for baseball. Like all the stats, all these like metrics and everything, it sucks because like that's all it is anymore. Like, I mean, hey, this guy's like, I mean, you even see them like they bring in a new pitcher. They've got the iPad over there. The guy on deck in the on deck circles looking at an iPad of this guy that's about to come in, looking at all this data on him and everything. I mean, I guess maybe we're too much old school, but I'm just kind of like I'm just getting annoyed with all of this data, I guess.
Well, I think we probably are a little bit too old school when we talk about some of these things. But on the flip side, I still want to watch. I want to watch a game. I don't want to watch a battle of numbers as far as stats out there go. And you see it the most. To me, you see it the most with the number of strikeouts with the hitters. We all know the 3 true outcomes and kind of their thought process on some of the stuff. But
yeah.
There's still times I know the data might not suggest it. I know put the damn ball in play, but they don't. They flat out won't. I mean, if they can't hit it over the fence, moving a runner from second to third with less than 2 outs, they don't care about that stuff anymore. No, because the data doesn't tell them that helps them win.
We've talked about this many times, like with the shift, like how guys
the shift
they can't control the bat enough to like hit it to where they've shifted, No,
not at all. Tony Gwynn, there's no telling what he would hit in today's game.
Well, if they shifted him like they do a lot of guys, I mean, he would hit probably 700.
Oh, absolutely. He would hit 700
baseline every time.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I think there's no telling what he would hit. Even if they didn't shift him, I think just the way the pitchers nibble and do things where he was able to stand up there and just wait on a pitch. I mean, there's no telling what he would do, but it's a different game. Home runs, they only care about home runs for the most part. Launch angle, all you hear is launch angle and how many pitches per at bat. Those things are important now. Batting average, nobody cares.
No.
Nobody cares. we were talking about what's the shortstop for the Twins? Luis, the guy that got called up midseason.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't
What is
think
his
of his
name?
name.
He hit or second baseman, I guess, because Polanco played short. But he was hitting like 350 most of the season after he got called up. I don't know what he finished. I want to say it was in the 330s. A long time ago, he might have won Rookie of the Year in the 80s or 90s. He literally might have won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Nobody cares now. Like, he didn't even get talked about.
No.
Nobody even knows his name. I can't even think of his name.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Batting average is so unimportant that nobody even cares. It's how many times did you hit it over the fence, and if you hit 230 doing it, that's fine.
Yeah. And that's, like I think going forward, like whenever people are looking at voting for the Hall of Fame, like with this generation of players, it used to be like, 3,000 hits, 300 wins, 300 average, all this 500 home runs, or whatever.
Yep.
They're going to be looking at like OPS, WAR, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Batting average does not matter one bit what their batting average
No,
and
not one bit.
For pitchers, wins, I mean, they might as well not even keep track of them as far as Hall of Fame goes going forward because it just does not matter.
But there is one thing that has gotten some guys in the Hall of Fame that you and I both strongly disagree with, and that's saves.
Oh, yeah. I hate
saves. I mean, Mariano Rivera, great. He was a great reliever. First guy ever to get unanimous vote to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I struggle with that so bad because essentially he either didn't have the stamina or wasn't good enough to be a starter. And that's what originally made him a reliever. Now, he was a dominant reliever, and he excelled in that role. I'll give him credit there. But I struggle with that, with saves being so important. You pitch one inning a game after the other guys have gotten the lead and kept the other team from getting up there and beating you, essentially, and you come out and close it. I do have a tough time with saves and closers, especially with him getting the first – unanimous. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in. I mean, if you look at player rankings as far as by position, he's probably the best reliever of all time. So by all means, put him in there. But Griffey, some of these other players of our generation that should have been the first unanimous one, not Mariano Rivera. I struggle with that.
No, I mean,
I'm sure I'm going to take some heat for that. That's okay.
This is going to piss people off probably, but yeah, I think it's an absolute joke that he was the first unanimous player ever to get in. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, he was a relief pitcher because he couldn't make it as a starting pitcher. How many starting pitchers could be great closers?
A lot of them.
Most of them, probably.
Most of them. A lot of them.
I mean, if you can pitch really well for 5, 6, 7 innings, why wouldn't you be able to pitch one good inning? And you're not – I mean, most of the time it's not like you're coming in the 9th inning to face like the 1, 2, 3 hitters, Sometimes you will. Probably most of the time you don't even. So It's not even like – I mean, pitching a clean first inning to me is more impressive than closing a game. I mean –
the sad reality is you look at the pitchers – just during the Mariano Rivera era, just during his career, that were better, like way better, that are in the Hall of Fame that didn't go or going to go in the Hall of Fame. Greg Maddux, to me, is the best pitcher of our generation. For me, watching, just because he wasn't dynamic, as far as how hard he could throw or anything, he was phenomenal most of his career. He didn't go in unanimous. Randy Johnson, not unanimous. Roger Clemens obviously has all the steroid things. If Roger Clemens didn't have the steroid stuff surrounding him, I mean, look how good he was. He was ridiculous. And then you got Kershaw that's still pitching now. Those guys are probably the best, maybe the best 4 of our generation. You can throw Pedro Martinez in there and a few other guys, but those guys to me are all better than Rivera, all more deserving than Rivera by far. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, if guys like that can't get in unanimously, I'm sorry, Mariano Rivera, you don't get to be the first guy.
Mm-hmm. No.
If Jeter gets in unanimously, that'll be a joke too. Sorry, it just will be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean,
It's nothing against Derek Jeter. It's nothing against Rivera. I'm just saying if no one else in the history of baseball can do this, why why all of a sudden are you going to just vote people in unanimously?
yeah, I think you look back at history. You Stan Musial and Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and some of these guys that were that you know top tier guys. No, they didn't do it. That's crazy to me. Mike Trout might be the next to do it. Honestly,
Jeter might be the next to do it.
Jeter could do it too. Yeah, you're right. He might get voted in.
And here's the thing, and a lot of people would probably make the argument that a lot of those guys in the past should have got in unanimously. So you can't punish these guys by not letting them in unanimously just because you didn't let those guys in unanimously. And I'll be perfectly clear on this. I don't think that Rivera deserved to be in unanimously. It has nothing to do with those other guys not getting in unanimously.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, undoubtedly, some of those other guys should have been unanimous.
Of course.
No question, those guys should have been unanimous. I think it's just it's the shock factor that a guy who pitched one inning, a few times a week at a time, made it in unanimously over those guys. I mean, Hank Aaron led everything when he retired. He was, Ted Williams, Hank Aaron, these guys. It's a joke that Rivera got it over those guys. Like I said, it's no offense to Rivera. He was going to get in. When you're, like I said, I mentioned before, anytime you're the greatest at any position, you're going to get in. It's going to happen. I have no problem with that, but not unanimously. I mean, come on. Whoever was voting on that, what a joke.
Yeah, I mean, you've got obvious guys that should have been, unanimous. Ruth, Cobb, Aaron, Harold Baines.
Yeah, Harold Baines. I mean, yeah, for sure. Bill Mazeroski. I mean, yeah, those guys definitely unanimous. They should have been.
Yeah. I don't think whenever we started this video, I don't think we intended on it being this controversial.
No, we didn't. But that's okay. Here's the thing. I think there's a lot of people out there that probably agree to a certain extent, and there's a lot of people that saw Rivera as the greatest closer of all time, and he is. I mean, he is. And so that kind of that's their thought process on that, and I think it's okay to have some controversy on what we all think. But
yeah, not saying that we're right or everybody else is wrong.
No. I mean,
I'm sure that way more people will probably disagree with us than will agree with us.
Yeah.
my whole thought on Rivera, it's not that I don't think that he was a great closer. My whole thing is I don't think that closer is that important.
I agree.
I mean, to me, a closer, it's kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a designated hitter. And if that's all you do for your entire career, then I still think designated hitter is more important actually than closer because
that's why they play every day.
You play every day and you're batting 4 times.
Yeah. I mean, and if you have to play in the field, a lot of them can. I mean, they're capable of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some of them.
Some of them. I mean, they can.
They do. They have a way bigger impact on the game.
Way bigger. It's not even close. I mean, David Ortiz throughout his career versus Mariano Rivera. David Ortiz impacted a lot more games than Mariano Rivera did.
Sure.
It's not even close. I mean, it's a runaway. When you look at that. So yeah, I definitely agree. DH way more important. Closer it's just it's just okay. It's like defensive catchers. I mean, they're great. If they can't hit, they're only good at one thing, right? They're just defensive. They're like a specialist, and there's nothing wrong with that. You need them to win. I mean, you need specialists to win, but if you've already got the lead going into the 9th,
yeah,
is it that important, really?
I guess I think my whole thing with closers, I think to me it's just kind of annoying that people put so much weight on those final three outs. Like, I mean, you know, if the guy that pitches the eighth inning, like if he comes in and he gets out the two, three, and four hole hitters, and then the guy in the ninth comes in and gets like the five, six, and seven hole hitters and gets the save. I mean, why is that more important?
Yeah, I'm with you. And then the other thing you'll hear, and I've heard this argument or seen this happen in baseball games a million times. What do they do in the ninth inning? Man, the team that's hitting, they throw the kitchen sink. They pinch hit all these guys. There's a reason they're on the bench to start with.
Right. You don't if a guy is a great player, I
He
mean,
was already in the lineup the first
having
inning.
a day off. I mean, you don't set your great players on the
Very
bench.
often. Yeah. They set out a few games a year.
They don't
But
pitch
you'll
hit.
see that a lot. Well, they brought this lefty off the bench to face this right-handed, relief pitcher. Well, there's a reason he was on the bench. He's not as good as the other guys in the lineup.
I mean, and the other argument that you'll hear from people is, oh, it's just the pressure. People just don't understand the pressure that these guys are under. Why? Why? I don't get it. I mean,
I agree with you.
I mean,
I've also heard that I've heard this argument. I can't remember the podcast I listened to, but it was pretty enlightening. But I also heard a guy who compared it to if they're so damn important and they're so important, then why don't the hitters do that? Why don't they put Mike Trout on the bench and just save him for the last inning?
there you go.
It's no different. I mean, it's like, well, let's hold him up until one inning, so he's fresh, so he's ready to hit. Well, you want them out there as many innings as they can if they're that important, if they're that good.
This one right here, this will really make some people mad, and we're probably we're getting really into this now. But what about how about comparing a closer to an NFL kicker? Oh, that's pressure, right? He's got to come in and make this field goal at the end of the game. That's pressure.
That's his
right?
job. That's his job. He has one job, and it's to kick a football.
How many unanimous Hall of Fame kickers are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
None. But ask me how many there should be. The answer is none.
I mean, what's more pressure packed? Coming in to kick a field goal to win a game, or coming in to get three guys out in the ninth inning?
Oh, the kicking.
I mean,
the kicking. You got 11 humongous human beings trying to run at you and block the ball. I don't understand anybody run at Mariano Rivera while he's standing on the mound throwing the baseball, and you got a guy trying to kick it. Yeah, in terrible weather, all these things. It's hard now. Kickers, they're kind of a joke in themselves too, because what does it mean to be a good kicker? You know what I mean? Those situations are always there's just so many variables to that. But no, kickers, they're important. Are they as important as the rest of the players? No.
Of course not. Of course they're not important.
Not even close.
I mean, they're not nearly as important as the rest of the guys.
There's a reason why they get looked at as
not football players.
Yeah, they're kind of the scapegoat when stuff goes bad. Well, of course, they don't do anything to impact the game other than the few times they come in. They have no impact on the game. I mean, they don't help the team practice. There's some of the bench players and the other ones. They at least go against somebody else to help them practice. Kickers don't go against anybody.
And people are going to listen to this and be like, "You guys are crazy!" Mariano Rivera is the greatest ever and all this stuff. And I'm not saying that he wasn't a great player. I'm just saying that I think it's ridiculous that people place so much value on somebody that comes in and throws like maybe 60 innings a year. Like they put more value on that than a starting pitcher that throws 200 plus innings or a hitter that plays every day. Like when it comes to the Hall of Fame, like he's the guy that gets unanimously in, the first guy ever. And I mean, I know part of it is because people liked him. I mean, like he was popular with the media.
Yeah.
Nobody disliked Mariano Rivera. And I mean, I don't either, by the way. I don't dislike him as a player
me either. Yeah.
I just think he's portrayed as the best closer in the history of baseball, and that's why we're using him in this argument, because I don't think he's ridiculous. I think closers are ridiculous.
Correct. And I mean,
Anyways, we got carried away on that topic. Is there anything else you got for tonight? I think maybe a little random five action.
oh, you want to do some random five? I I did. You kind of like I said, we were kind of talking before we got going here, so you don't know this. It's obviously it's random, but I didn't have anything really planned out too much ahead of time. But so tonight's random five, very simple, very easy for the sake of how little time I had to think about it.
I hate when you say it's easy because
It is.
That means if I don't get it, I'm going to look like an idiot.
You already look like an idiot anyway. So, but for wearing that Cubs hat, but we'll worry about that later. But give me your top five in-game dunkers of all time.
Oh, top five in-game dunkers. Okay, Dominique Wilkins.
Okay.
Vince Carter. LeBron James. Jordan, I mean, from his early days. I mean, I'm sitting there thinking for a second, like, yeah, Jordan didn't dunk a lot during games at the end, but, man, at the beginning of his career, he sure did. Okay, so that's four, right?
That's four. Is that three? That's Vince. That's Wilkins. That's Jordan.
And LeBron.
LeBron. I didn't have LeBron on my list, actually.
Fifth guy, in-game dunker. This is gonna be a funny one because you'll understand this, I think, but I don't think a lot of people probably will. Tom Chambers.
Tom Chambers could throw it down.
Chambers, man. If you haven't seen this guy dunk in games, go watch some highlights. He could flat out throw it down.
I didn't have him on my list, but he's a good one. And another guy not on my list was like Larry Nance. Larry Nance could definitely throw it down.
Junior or senior?
Well, senior, yeah.
Junior's had some.
Yeah, no, junior can too. But yeah, my list is a little bit different than yours. So I got Vince Carter number one. He to me in-game dunkers. Nobody. To me, nobody's even close. Not even Jordan in his young days. Jordan was phenomenal.
Vince Carter freaking dunked. He jumped over a guy.
Yeah, 7'1" guy. But I just think those first 4 or 5 years of his career, the highlight reels are just unreal. So he's number one. I think Jordan, is number two. I think there's so many famous dunks of him dunking over people. Mutombo, he's dunked over. Yeah, absolutely. He's dunked on so many people, and his images of his dunks in game are just ingrained. And also his ability to palm the ball. I don't know if anybody's ever been able to palm the ball the way he could, and so I think those in-game dunks are phenomenal because of that.
Right.
Number three for me is the Rain Man, Shawn Kemp.
Oh yes, okay.
I always thought he was just you always look at these big guys, these 6'10" guys. They don't run the court like that and dunk the way that the way that he could, for sure. And then number four is another big guy, Blake Griffin. His first 4 years probably, just ridiculous. DeAndre Jordan, he's not on my list, but he was good too for a while there. And then was that four for me?
I think that's four.
It's four. So number five for me is I had a back and forth with a couple guys, and I'm going to go with Gerald Green. I know it's kind of a surprising one, kind of a weird one, but when he was playing pretty consistently, man, he would get just seemed like every night just get a highlight reel dunk. And then I had Dominique. Dominique was the next guy I was kind of duking it out with. His are all the big power dunks over people for sure.
Yeah, just tremendous power dunker.
Power dunks. And then I thought about Kobe and McGrady. Those guys definitely could dunk good too, but not quite in the same league as the other guys, I don't think.
We're probably going to get slaughtered for not saying Dr. J.
I didn't get to watch Dr. J. I'm not old enough, so yeah, probably him too. Everybody knows about him and David Thompson back in the 70s. Those two guys,
yeah,
phenomenal. I've seen a lot of film on David Thompson on how good he could dunk, and he wasn't that big of a guy. What's the other guy's name? Kenny Walker, Skywalker.
Skywalker, yeah.
I know I've seen some old videos. Guys like that. I know they can dunk. I just didn't get to see them enough to put them on there.
Right.
For sure. But that's my easy random 5 for tonight.
That wasn't too bad. I mean,
no, I'd keep it simple.
I probably, if I would have had a chance to think about it more, I might have put Sean Kemp on there too, because he was early on, man, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, the first 6 years of his career, roughly before he got fat. After he became Fat Kemp, he definitely.
Then I probably would have had to find a way to put Blake Griffin on there too if I would have really thought about it. Because
he's another guy. His first few years, he kind of revolutionized the way we saw alley oops, and once Chris Paul got there, and man, they were dynamic. The pick and roll game with those guys was just, we really haven't seen a big guy since Sean Kemp maybe that was able to do that.
Yeah.
You got guys like Shaq. Shaq dunked it maybe more times than anybody else in NBA history. I don't know what the numbers are. I would bet it's him.
He's got to be up there.
To me, he'd have to be. I guarantee he's probably number one. You could put him on there, but they're basic dunks, right? They're not. They're not going to wow you.
So before we wrap it up here, any last statements or anything, like any disclosures or anything to, like, if people are like come after us because of the Mariano Rivera stuff? Like,
no, just, hey, all I can say is throw some comments below the video. Good, bad, ugly, I don't care. I like to see them.
Should I run something across the screen that says that this is only the opinions of Michael and Andy? And
yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I think when we're talking sports, I think opinions is part of it.
Oh, it's all in good fun. I mean,
how often do you see the arguments? Where somebody says LeBron's the greatest ever, somebody says Jordan's the greatest ever.
Right.
Their opinions. Jordan is the best one ever, but there's still opinions. The other guys are just wrong. It's okay. But I think those discussions they're fun. It's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, it's all good fun, and my OU Sooners got beat today, so I was kind of
they almost got butchered, and then they made a tremendous comeback and made it close, but. Yeah, that was bad for the Big 12. You and I are both Big 12 guys, and
I'm not a Big 12 guy.
Well, by default, being an OU fan, you are a Big 12 guy
because the Big 12 has Texas in it.
That's true. They do. They have Texas in it.
And after there was the only thing that brought me joy today after OU lost was the fact that Texas lost too. Is that sad or what?
They did. Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State won.
We've had a rough season, but it was good to actually beat a ranked team. We had a chance when we were ranked to beat Tech. We lost. We got killed. We go to Baylor last week, get run out of the stadium by them, and then this week it was nice to win a ranked game, against a ranked opponent. We need to do that one more time when we play OU, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can stop them, slow them down well enough to even come close. But I know one thing, that if OU's run defense plays like it did today against Oklahoma State, Hubbard is going to run for 250 yards.
Yeah. For sure.
I mean, I was looking at stats actually. He's racking up stats a lot faster than people realize too. But I was looking at Big 12 stats today going into the game, and he was almost 500 yards ahead of the next closest runner in the Big 12, and the next closest runner was Jalen Hurts.
in the entire nation, he was like almost 300 yards ahead.
300, yeah, he was right at 300 ahead, and he had another big game today. 125 yards today. So,
yeah, well, so if anybody's offended by like the the replay stuff, I can 100% tell you that was somewhat inspired by the OU football game today that got me thinking about it. Now, let me first say that OU 100% deserved to lose that game, but there was like somewhat of a controversial replay at the end, so it just got me thinking about that. But, yeah, they just I mean, they got their butts whipped.
The third quarter, the third quarter beat them. I mean, you have a third quarter the way they did, you deserve to get beat every time.
And you can almost completely put this loss, as usual, on the defense because, I mean, they scored 41 points and they only ran probably like 45 or 46 plays the entire game.
Yeah, K-State had the ball. It had to be 80% of the second half. I don't know the exact time, but
the time possession was – I think they had the ball close to 40 minutes.
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, but I was looking on my phone after the game, kind of looking at the stats, and I texted you and told you, I think if you took out Jalen Hurt, took him out of it, OU only had 6 yards rushing. Outside of the quarterback. That's just That to me that's terrible. In college football, you're gonna have a tough time winning when you do that, and they almost did come back and win. I mean, that's crazy, but
well, the one thing that we know about K-State year in, year out, if you get ahead of them early, they're going to have a tough time coming back against you. But if they get ahead of you, they're just going to milk that clock, and you're going to have a tough time coming back because –
I mean, they're not going to beat themselves. They're one of those teams they just don't beat themselves. You have to beat them, and when you turn the ball over and the trick plays OU tried, like you got maybe the best or definitely top 5 offense in the nation. I don't understand why you even try that crap.
Well, they were ranked number 1 offense coming into this.
Yeah, I mean, you just watch them play week in and week out, and you can tell. I mean, you got probably the best receiver in the country. You got one of the best quarterbacks, and the offensive line's good. They're just good everywhere. And then you go and you're trying to have somebody else throw the ball that's not the quarterback. That stuff, that just kills you when you do that.
And, I mean, the receiver should have caught it, but why are you running a play like that where you have the receiver throwing the ball?
Last I looked at, their quarterback, he's pretty good.
I mean, he threw for 395 yards and he ran for almost 100 today.
3 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns today or something like that? 2 or 3, yeah. K-State's quarterback had 4 rushing touchdowns.
Well, K-State, their offense, they're the king of it's going to take them 3 or 4 downs to get exactly 10 yards.
Yeah.
And they're going to take as much time. They're going to run the play clock down to absolutely nothing and do it again.
Yeah, but when you can't stop them, when you can't stop their run, you're going to have a tough time. I mean, they're not going to throw it deep on you. I mean, they're not, that's not what they're out there doing. But OU's run defense, they better get it figured out quick.
Yeah, it was sad to watch. But
sad, but you just wait till we play our Madden game, then you'll really be sad.
That's going to be sad too. All right, guys, that's all we've got for this week. Hopefully we didn't make too many people upset. If anybody made it this far into the video, maybe some people, once we started talking about Rivera, they may have just cut us off at that point. But it's all in good fun. So you got anything in closing, Michael?
Nope, nothing.
Hopefully we'll have to do another one of these soon, not let it be another 5 months.
Well, the next one will probably have to be we'll have to come with a apology statement at the beginning of it. That's okay.
That's fine. I don't mind. Won't be the first or the last time. All right, guys. We will catch you later.